Hey guys, nice to see you again. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Dating with Confidence, the start. If you haven't listened to it, then I suggest you go back to it and check it out. I'll put the link in the description. And just as with the first video, I will also put the text on the blog so you can read it and you can get the information on a different level. With everything that I share, the information is actually vibrational. So it's not so much for the intellect as it is for the body and for your cells. So today, I will be talking about it's not that, it is what. What do I mean? Listen on and it will get clear. So I was having a chat with one of my favorite humans on the face of this earth, and you know who you are, and I know you're listening too. And she's kind of sort of casually dating this guy. She told me that she has been overthinking and it wasn't really serving her. And that is what most of us think, right? We think that we're overthinking, but then we forget how reality is created in the first way. Any situation that you experience, good or bad, comes from overthinking. So it's not that you're overthinking, it is what are you overthinking about? And let's change the wording here because overthinking has a bad connotation and it doesn't really suit the message of today. So it's not that you're thinking, it is what you're thinking. You cannot not think. Even when you're not aware that you're thinking something, you are always thinking something. You're always imagining something, and you're always telling yourself some kind of a story. And that is the way that reality shows up by default. So it's not that you're thinking, it is what are you thinking about? So let's take another friend as an example. And she's on and off dating this guy that has a drinking problem. At the moment, they are not dating. She decided they can't be together because as soon as they are together, she also drinks way too much. And of course, with all the amazing benefits that comes from drinking too much. So how can she solve this challenge? First of all, by realizing that any situation that she finds herself in, and this goes for all of us, of course, she put herself in to discover her power. We put ourselves in situations to discover our power. It is not because the universe is testing you, and it's not because it is your karma. It is because you want to experience yourself solving this challenge. And I will give you here one of my favorite Seth quotes. And I always get this out of my toolbox whenever I find myself in an interesting situation. Seth says, "You set your problems in the hope that you will solve them. You did not set them like millstones about your neck." And while I'm at it, let's add a few other amazing ones that are really stunning. I love Seth. You're not programmed. Nothing happens because it must happen. And this one, the past is continually changed. So with pain in her heart, my friend ended things, which from a linear 3D perspective is amazing. I mean, it takes guts to do that, but not from a perspective of a conscious creator. So again, how can she change this situation? By figuring out what got her in there in the first place. So let's take an analogy. If you live in Vienna and you find yourself all of a sudden in Rome, you didn't just magically put yourself there. You found your way there either via boat, a plane, a car, a helicopter, a train. So you got there via a certain way of transport. And the same goes for any situation that you find yourself in with anyone. And since we're talking here about dating, if you find yourself in a situation with a person that you're dating or in a relationship with, you got yourself there in some way, and it's for you to figure out how. So secondly, how does she get home from being in Rome? And home is, in this case, a wonderful, healthy partnership with this guy. So she has to change the narrative of the story. Remember from my first video, if you're seeing something, you see it because you are aware of it. It can only be because you see it being. But that you see it doesn't mean that it's true. That you see it means you have been imagining something. You have been telling yourself a story. There's something going on within you that has created that. Everything you see is after the fact. Paper dragons, paper tigers, paper whatever, it isn't real. Leave the mirror and change your face, as Neville says. So if you want to explore this more in depth, then you can head over to my Patreon. And if you want to figure this out for yourself, you definitely can. As I said in my last video, my Patreon is paid, and I will go into more detail there. I will also tell you things from my own experience there, and you can ask questions in my Patreon. So check out the link in the description if you're curious about my Patreon channel, and I will also put the link to the blog in the description. And I wish you much love and happy dating. See you in the next.